This new double Senti comp with Deadlock and Cypher is becoming meta fast. Together, these two agents flex 100% win rate across the world in Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's right, it's undefeated in 2 levels of Valorant in 2 different regions. Teams like Sentinels, FNATIC, and M80 are abusing it to win their matches. But where did this meta come from? And what exactly makes it so broken? Before I tell you why this comp belongs in jail, I'd like to quickly give credit to the inventors of this evil meta, Turtle Troops. You'd think something so smart must have been created by a high IQ FNATIC or the merchants behind Sentinels. No, it was the highly underrated team in NA's Tier 2 league led by former 100 Thieves IGL Stellar. They first showed this comp 2.5 months before any VCT team did. Since April, the comp has been played 11 times in officials and maintains a perfect record. I don't think we've seen anything like this before. They might have actually broken Valorant. Why is this combo deadly? The interactions of Deadlock and Cypher utility is quite interesting. You all know how Cypher's traps work. You walk into it, you get shot, you die. With Deadlock's sensors, you make noise, you get stunned, you die. In isolation, these aren't that difficult to deal with, especially for pros.
So how is this OP, Roy?
Well, first, Deadlock and Cypher are the only 2 Sentinels without range restrictions. Second, when you walk into a trap wire, you have to shoot it, which makes noise. Do you get where I'm going with this? If not,
Allow me to demonstrate.
watch as my test subject innocently walks into the lane, and boom! It's a pretty innovative combo. Then you add the fact that you have a throwable sage wall in the shape of a frisbee, and it becomes all kinds of weird. Still not sold on this? Let's go even deeper then. As you might expect, this double Sentinel comp works very well on defense. Remember when I mentioned the no range restriction aspect of this combo? Well, aside from e-dating and Discord kittens, that long distance comes with many benefits. Some of these benefits are shown in this match between FNATIC and BBL. It's round 9 and the score's tied at 4-4. By the way, this is FNATIC's first official since bombing out of Masters Shanghai without a single win. They've been on the receiving end of public hate and criticism. And with Leo stepping down for this split, a loss here could mean mental kaboom. Anyways, this round is important. Not only are they fighting for a lead in this half, but FNATIC's all in on this round. Losing here means going on eco, likely surrendering a hefty lead. BBL opens the round with this bottom mid smoke and this KO knife for Cat. The smoke blocks vision into mid, and the knife lets BBL know if anyone's playing Cat. If it doesn't scan anyone, they can freely take mid. Meanwhile, Omen fake TPs into A main. He does this because Omens generally TP across A main to get past this one way. Once the attackers get across, defending A main gets a little awkward since they can get double peeked from both sides. Notice how Boaster immediately gives up A main and Chronicle commits to Cat. That's because BBL's opener is hard selling an A split, which FNATIC has to respect. Despite BBL's heavy map control here, they still don't have a read on FNATIC's setup, so they drone deep into market hoping to learn which agents are where. Once they see Sova counter-droning from defense spawn, it all clicks. Generally, the defense meta on Ascent is Sova plus Sentinel on B and usually 3 on A. Up until now, FNATIC has played Cypher on B every round. As soon as they see Sova in defense spawn, they assume B is weak and Cypher's there solo. But they don't know, Pepe laugh. They smoke deep mid, walk up quietly so FNATIC can't get a read on them. BBL has completely split up the defenders. They immediately start posturing for the B split with KO and Omen regrouping B main with Cypher, who's been silent this entire time. BBL's drooling at this point because they have KO ult, a natural counter to Sentinels since getting suppressed disables the gadget, allowing easy sight takeovers. An actual macro masterclass by BBL setting themselves up for a 5v2 on isolated B players. There's only one problem. If you take a look on the map, FNATIC placed all of their gadgets including Cypher Cam over at B while towards A. A setup that's only really possible because of the limitless range. BBL begin their split after getting B main control. Smokes are dropped, ults are popped. See how Deadlock and Cypher are keeping their distance like KO's got COVID? They want to make sure that the gadgets stay up for the B defenders. Unfortunately for Hero, he's forced to swing to his death, trying to avoid getting scanned and spammed, leaving Durkee isolated backside. Durkee gets bus flashed, and things are looking sus. And then boom! Trap card activated. They walk into a wire, shoot it, get stunned, they get shot, and die. Bren was right once again.
You get shot, you die! You get shot, you die!
Also, while all that happened, the Sova ran into a stun sensor on stairs and died to the players in spawn. Now, obviously, Durkee hitting nice shots helped. But the point of this clip is to show that you can get out macroed pretty hard and still win on sites off the gadget combos. A unique defensive style we've never before seen in Valorant. In this example, we have Sentinels versus NRG on Lotus in a very high pressure series. This is FNS and Psalm's debut. Pre-debut? with NRG. Score is 10-8. NRG needs this round to work. A loss here would not only give Sentinels the 11th round, but it also means NRG's broke, allowing Sen to taste victory. FNS is calling to exec C because they have Neon ult. Can't go wrong, because C site is historically pretty hard to hold, especially with the amount of utility their comp has on attack. This is mostly because the defenders don't have many good positions to play, and the ones they do have generally get util bombed. Elbow gets moshed or neon stunned, and back pillar gets clove decayed or breach stunned, while Dizzy's flying at you and breach flashes are letting you see the sun. Close box is also death sentence most of the time. It's pretty tough to hold at the pro level, to be honest. However, as you can see on the minimap, the site is booby trapped. NRG aftershocks the entry, which actually breaks a lot of their util on site. The problem is that even if you manage to break Deadlock's sensors, she still has the gravnet and the mesh to stop any execute, making her one of the best counter util agents in the game. Also, a big difference between Sage Wall and Deadlock Mesh is that Sage's wall is pretty easy to spam through smokes since you can break it by shooting it anywhere. Deadlock is a little different because you have to shoot the mesh in specific places to break it, and when there's a smoke up, it can be tricky, especially under pressure. Notice here how John QT throws a perfectly timed crouch bomb and Celsius pops cages at the entrance until the smokes land. Then the mesh lands between elbow and water, restricting their access to site and trapping them in the middle of the crossfire. I do feel like NRG has done a bad job at breaking the mesh this entire game, but that's besides the point. Spoilers, NRG's forced to pivot to B, where they eventually lose the round. Now, even with the picture-perfect aftershock at the beginning that broke most of the setup, NRG still couldn't get past the double sentinel utility. Absolutely brutal shutdown of NRG's hopes and dreams. Jail for Sentinels. Before we dive deeper into this video, I'm Roy, a former Valorant pro. I run a free coaching Discord with hundreds of players from around the world who are all surpassing their peaks. My content is completely self-funded. Your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing helps a ton in being able to produce better content in the near future. Thank you, and let's continue. What I'm about to show you is one of the most unique setups I've seen in Valorant by the inventors themselves. Turtle Troop setting up for a brawl in mid on pistol round versus M80. Deadlock's looking to block off B main with her mesh. Now, as long as this barrier stays up, they can confidently ignore B and stay stacked in mid. Meanwhile, the entire iRobot factory is over here at A, where Omen is looking to turtle the site. This starts in a temporary 1-3-1 and becomes a 0-4-1. 2 fighting from Cat and 2 fighting from bottom mid. A very strong opening setup with all outcomes accounted for. If the attackers go mid, they go into the meat grinder crossfire between Cat and Arches. If they go A, they're entering the factory, and the Cat players will spam and flood through smokes to help Omen on site. Should they attempt B, they have to break the mesh, where they'll get smoked off and Deadlock will use her gravnet to slow them down. Full control across the entire map. Only really possible with this much depth because of the utility this comp has to offer. Anywho, the round starts off with M80 KO knifing towards Cat, which scans 2 players, Jet and Cypher. Typically, the defenders have 3 on A. IGLs at this level know this. This is why a common protocol for the attackers, specifically when starting grouped heavily outside A main, is to simply speed up A when they find out that the defense is heavy mid. An effective protocol because they understand A is weak in that exact moment. Why try to big brain the round when you can just brute force right then and there with favorable numbers? That's why we see M80 moving up instantly after getting that info. This is a great read and call so far, except against this comp, it's not really that simple. They walk up and set up for their site explode. Now, despite Troop's insane gadget stack, Koala manages to bypass all of it and kills the A anchor, which is insane, by the way. Trades happen, and Turtles get that buy one, get one. Meanwhile, in mid, Stellar and Adder 2v1 Nitro, the mid lurker. Happy with their new number advantage, the 4v2, you can see Troops slowing down, allowing themselves to reset and retake where they know the 2 remaining players are. Fast forward, Turtles will all group heaven, and they win out the trades on site. Now keep in mind, this was M80's second time playing against Turtle Troop on this map, so they were able to minimize some of the value of the gadget combos. But despite that, the idea was very fundamentally sound, and they played the macro to perfection. Now, keep in mind, this was M80's second time playing against Turtle Troops on this map with the same exact comp. The anti-shredded the crap out of Turtle for the second time and were able to minimize some of the value of the gadget combos. But despite that, they got blown out of the water both times by this comp's defense. In fact, M80 hated playing against this comp so much, they actually ended up swapping to it after this match. I honestly can't even blame them because Turtle's ideas are very fundamentally sound, versatile, and they play the comp close to perfection.
Roy, this combo might be good on defense, but it probably sucks on attack.
Well,
Actually,
This comp's pretty strong offensively too. Check the attack stats for these teams. But how can it be strong on attack, you might be wondering? Well, it turns out that Deadlock's kit is broken once she gets into the post plant, since she's technically defending the retake. Let me show you. TLDR, FNATIC split A through Cat, and they traded successfully, leading to a 3v2 post plant. If you look at the minimap, tree's completely blocked off by the barrier mesh, allowing the remaining FNATIC players to all focus heaven. This is already a massive advantage since splitting A through heaven and door is a big win condition for the defenders, and that's being denied. Chronicle, the Deadlock in Hell, places unbreakable sound sensors. The Jet's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. Decides to shoot and trigger the trap, delayed. Chronicle instantly puts another one down. Same thing happens. Finally, they make it through only to get tagged by the Cypher Cam, and the Jet has to stop and remove the tag. BBL eventually makes their way through only to lose out on the trades, and FNATIC gets their thrifty.
Player down below baiting with a couple of jumps. Nice shot to start it, but Dirk is able to return. Chronicle just a classic up close. 31 HP, 19 now. The reload, and he's got him. Elite having a mare to take down this player.
Now, this wasn't the best example, but it was funny, so I wanted to include it in this video. Jail for FNATIC. These next two rounds I show you are connected, so pay attention. Check out the C exec by Sentinels on their attack. They decide to overrun C using Fade Util to clear sight while they frisbee wall over water to stop the rotators from flooding in, a common win condition for teams on ecos. Zekken decides to take Heaven solo here. Not an ideal play, but let's be real. It's Zekken. He can do whatever he pleases. Since they have Heaven control, John Cutie stacks his sensors for water. Check out how much stun coverage they have! Chaos ensues, and Sen feels the pressure, so John Cutie decides to kidnap one of the Heaven players and catches Ethan, the only player on NRG with a rifle. Sentinels start winning their ones, and FNS is about to walk into the traps of doom, but he dies before that. Sad face. Okay, last clip, I promise. This one is wild. NRG fakes long C control, denying early space to Sentinels who has the Razalt. Pretty smart move. Sen takes the bait and rips the showstopper. They realize nobody's here, but decide to run it down and pressure C site while the rocket is active. Hint, look at Saucy front B with ult. This turns into a similar look we saw in the last clip with the same water mesh by John Cutie. Sen realizes that the two C players are on site. Protocol initiated. They immediately call the B split and use the fade ult to try the B site takeover, but NRG counter utils nicely. And with the kill on Clove, they pivot back to a very weak C site, with the fastest rotate being denied by the mesh. NRG kinda messed up not breaking the mesh earlier, I'm not gonna lie. This time, John places his two sensors for the Heaven flood. The one on site is actually unbreakable. Also, check the util coverage. NRG never stood a chance in this round. A checkmate by Sentinels. Absolute cinema. Another important note is that Deadlock and Cypher synergize really well because each has what the other is lacking. Deadlock's often critiqued as a solo Sentinel because her utility is not great for maintaining space and gathering info, but is very strong both defensively and offensively. Cypher, on the other hand, is great at gathering info and maintaining space, but doesn't really offer much on executes, post plants, or retakes. Together, though, they are chef's kiss. Mwah. There's so many other cool rounds I wish I could show you, but I did not want this video to become your sleep aid. Anyways, I was so impressed by the power of this comp towards the end of making this video, I had to DM Stellar inquiring about it. He basically told me what I had already known, that they chefed it up. He did give an honorable mention to NIP though, a Chinese team he later discovered ran the comp in December of 2023. 3 months before they did, but they never really got too much success with it. This was probably because it was before the Deadlock buffs, which later came in January. With the rising Neon meta, my take is that this comp, with its infinite gadget combos and oppressive control, is essentially future-proofed, and we are going to see it become even more ingrained in the meta. Only time will tell when this comp will get its first defeat, because it certainly hasn't happened yet. I hope you enjoyed this yap. I know I did.